You guys are having a great morning, and it's already 9:21. The market has already opened, so there is a good gap ups and gap downs. Hope you guys are in a good positions. So we'll start quickly. What and all where yesterday it has ended, and where it has ended yesterday and where it has started today. Also, we'll discuss about the news which actually impacting the so yeah, guys. So we'll be discussing all the data according to today's data, which is Wednesday, 8th of July 2026, and it's already 9:26. The market is already like open. So actually, today's is slightly tense day for the market, and let's just go through the whole story step by step. What happened the overnight after the market closed, and what happened, the after we closed the market and took out all the positions, and then exactly how we opened today in the morning with precise and particular numbers. So yeah, we'll talk about where all the market has closed. So US market, we'll talk about the US market. It has actually closed in red. So yesterday US market closed in red. The Dow Jones ended around 0.25% lower, and the S&P 500 also like closed down about 0.45%. Not a massive crash, but clearly a weak and cautious tone for the Wall Street. And there is actually a biggest reason behind this geopolitics, as we know. So tensions in West Asia have flared up again, and the US carried out a fresh round of airstrikes on Iran. And along with that, revoked the temporary license that has allowed Iran to sell oil globally. This escalation came out after several tankers were hit by these projectiles in the Strait of Hormuz. So this is actually the direct impact on this crude oil. Brent crude also it jumped nearly 2% overnight. And whenever oil goes up, remember it always has a direct link to our market because India imports the bulk of its crude. So expensive oil means like pressure on the rupee and rupee on our import bill. Also, there is a pressure on our import bill. Also, there, Iran's side has also responded strongly. Their foreign ministry called this as a clear violation of a MOU signed on 18th June, and their military command has said like they'll just deliver crushing response. Actually, this situation still looks fragile. Also, yeah, we shouldn't forget the Asian markets because yesterday's yesterday Asian markets were kind of in the pressure as we discussed. So this has spilled over Asian markets, the current global geopolitics this morning. So Japan's Nikkei 25 is like trading around 0.48% lower today, and Kospi of South Korea is like is down. It's also down by close to 0.76%. So basically, the whole of Asia is like operating in a red today, not just only India, the whole Asian market. Yeah, a negative US close is there and escalating middle is tension. Rising all oil prices and weak Asian markets, all this together sets the stage for like today's opening. So we'll talk about yesterday's close. It was actually a interesting story, interesting day yesterday because the morning session was actually strong. Nifty even touched a level near 24,500 in an intraday yesterday, and a lot of people were excited about a fresh high. But the way it ended was actually a bit disappointing compared to morning. So Nifty 50 it, closed at 24,398.70, down by 31.65 points from the previous close. So roughly, which is around 0.13%, 13% dip. The Sensex is also like close at 78,180.72, which is down by 104 points, around 0.13% lower. So you guys be wondering in the morning it was completely different and while closing it is completely different. It was completely different and why you guys think it has its gain has suddenly arisen in the afternoon while closing? There is actually two reasons. First one is it was weekly FNO expiry day yesterday And expiry sessions usually bring extra volatility and late profit booking, as we know. And second one is this one, geopolitical tension we just discussed, and it already started showing up in the later part of the session yesterday. In the yesterday's afternoon session, it was the geopolitical tensions were already there. It actually brought down the gains of in this. So yeah, if we take a sector wise, yeah, I should mention before actually this rally, the market has actually rallied more than 2%. We actually discussed this yesterday in a live over the previous 4 to 5 sessions, and even hit a 2 month high on Monday. So in that way, yesterday was just a small breather after a strong run. So if we take a sector wise now, IT showed strength yesterday, and while a few other sectors were mildly weak, Swiggy had a big move. Their foreign ownership fell over 50%, bringing them closer to qualify as their Indian-owned and controlled company now. This could eventually let them own Instamart's inventory directly, which may improve their margins, which will be going forward. Also, I have mentioned the Kalyan Jewelers and trend. Also saw some sharp moves with swings of up to 9% in intraday. So if we take a bond market side, Indian government bonds were actually weak. The 10-year yield saw its biggest spike in more than 2 weeks due to their profit booking. Plus, raising US yields and geopolitical tensions, which we discussed, added kind of pressure there. But however, strong foreign inflows and healthy monsoons are still cushioning these things to macro side. So overall, if you take yesterday was a flat to slightly negative close, but the underlying sentiment was actually still positive. Geopolitical just dampened it a bit more towards the its end. And let's talk about the important point, which is today's opening. As I mentioned at the start, we have a had a gap down opening today, actually, and I give you the exact figures. To There is no actually confusion here. We'll just give you the exact figures to watch. GIF Nifty was actually already signaling weakness overnight. It was quite at around 24,230, down about 211 points. So we had an early warning that will be open in a red today. So yeah, that's exactly what happened. NSE Nifty 50 opened today at 24,000 to 59.55, dropped by 139.15 points, which is nearly 0.37% lower. Also, the Sensex, which opened at 77,816.45, down by 364.27 points, which works out to be about 0.47% lower. So, let me actually mention the rupee here because it opened at 94.17 against the of the 94.97, actually a 20 paisa weaker opening today. Directly actually tied this Iran oil tension as we discussed the geopolitical issues. And yeah, as I'm mentioning one more time, the reason behind all of this is the same story as I explained. The first one is Asian markets are entirely in the red today, and both, yeah, Nikkei and Kospi both are actually down. The number two is the overnight US close was actually negative, and number three is the biggest sector, this Middle East escalation with the US strike Iran, revoking the oil license, and oil prices also jumping 2%. So this is actually a classic case of a global Q-driven gap down, as we are seeing. And whenever actually geopolitical tension rises, the first reaction is always the same. Oil goes up, the risk of sentiment kicks in, and emerging markets like India see some selling pressure. That's actually exactly what's playing out today's market. And I should mention this one thing worth understanding here is small gaps, like usually fill within a day or two. But when it's news driven or geopolitical gaps like this, whatever we are seeing right now, it can take longer time to fill until the situation becomes clearer. So today could stay fairly bit volatile. Just keep your risk management a bit tight for now, because all the gap ups and gap downs, whatever we are seeing today, it's all because of the and main reason behind is the most geopolitical things. So yeah, the most important and the interesting thing of the day we discuss in our life is open interest. So this tells us like where fresh positions are building up, meaning where traders' interest is rising the most. And yeah, here I want to be very clear. I'm sharing this purely as a information, not as a buy or sell any recommendations. Please do your own research before acting on anything. Whatever the calls we give, whatever the signals, or whatever the movements, whatever we give you, just for your observation and educational purposes only. So let's just start with the index, which is Nifty. Nifty open interest today stands at 52 lakh, yeah, 52 lakh, 6,660 contracts, up by 3 lakh 13,120 contracts from yesterday, which is actually jump of 6.40%. That's actually a big increase, and since we are close to expiry, a lot of fresh positions is happening in a bulk right now. So we'll just go through the individual stocks also with the biggest Y increase there. One is Naukri. The first one is actually Naukri. Uh, that's Info Edge. It has seen OI rise is 2.61%. SBI Life is up by 1.96%. Nifty next 50 is also like increase 1.55%. So I think this one you should listen carefully to these two names because they just connect directly with today's oil news. Oil India's OI is jumped by 1.43%. Hindustan Petroleum its OI is jumped by 1.12%. Here's an actually important notch. Oil India is an upstream company that actually produces its own crude. So higher oil prices are generally positive for this for them actually because they're realizing go up. But Hindustan Petroleum is actually downstream right now, refining and marketing company it is. And for them, higher crude costs can actually squeeze margins. So OI is rising in both, but the underlying logic could quite different for both of them. Someone could be hedging or someone could be taking directional bet. Worth actually watching closely today. And UNO, it has raised by 0.97% in OI. SRF, it also raised by 0.82%. Shree Cement also at 0.72%. BPCL is also up by 0.64%. Same logic as I mentioned for Hindustan Petroleum also applies here again. And yeah, the Kalyan Jewelers, it was also like 0.63% OI rise. That's the same stock that have been big move yesterday as we discussed yesterday. So fresh interest is continuing here. Asian Paint is up by 0.63%. Vedanta is also 0.61% and Radico Khaitan is also raising by 0.56%. Also, the mid cap Nifty has risen by 0.81%. Titan is also seen significant unwind, down by 0.51%. Also, Tata Elxsi is also down by 0.29%. There are actually few other defensive type names where Y has actually come down. One is PNB Housing, Alchem Labs, Havels, Petronet LNG, Britannia, Dalmia Bharat. all showing mild of unwinding roughly in 0.15% to 0.20% range, which is decrease in OI. So, if I had to summarize this OI picture very clearly, energy and oil linked names are actually seeing the most action today, but obviously directly to their geopolitical news. Keep a close eye on Reliance, Oil India, HPCL, BPCL through the whole day. So, as I mentioned, energy and oil marketing companies will likely to see a high volatility for now, for today, since crude movement is today's biggest trigger. So, ID could see some support from the weekend's rupee, since a weak rupee generally like favors exporters, and banking and financials like makes say relatively stable since OIS isn't actually showing some extreme movement right now in the banking sector. But if geopolitical tensions escalates further during the day, that may take overall risk of more could spread across all these sectors. And one thing you should be clear about is this gap down is purely externally driven. There is nothing wrong with the Indians' own fundamentals. FII inflows are still strong, and the monsoon is progressing well, and earning season is also coming up. So which could support sentiment. So there is no need to panic. Just trade a bit more cautiously today. So just a quick reminder, as I tell you guys in every video, all this is for educational and information purposes only, not investment advice. Please do your own research before taking any financial decisions or making any decisions, and also consult your financial advisor if needed before any decisions. As we discussed what's happening globally, we'll also discuss some domestic newses, some local newses, regional newses, which actually impacting the market and particular stocks here. Because honestly, there's a lot of what moves our market this week isn't just Iran and oil news or maybe some other global geopolitical news all the time. That's actually plenty happening right here, yeah, in a home, in a India too. So we'll talk about the FI and DI activity. FI were net buyers in the cash segment yesterday, putting in about 393 crore, and DIs on the other hand were net sellers, putting out around 383 crores. So interestingly, foreign investors are supportive and for a weekday, while domestic institutions booked some profits yesterday. So this tells us like very clearly that foreign money hasn't turned negative on India yet. That's actually a reassuring sign for now. especially with today's global uncertainty. And again, the monsoon story, which we are discussing, this is actually a big one for our market right now, especially for FMCG, also the auto and the rural demanding stocks. June rainfall came in nearly 40% below the long period average, which had raised some concern in people. But the IMD has like forecast rainfall like at 94% of LPA, meaning we should see a strong recovery this month compared to last month. They said they have also revised the full 2026 monsoon forecast, which is slightly to 90% of LPA due to their yearly conditions. So it's actually mixed picture. Near-term recovery expected, but a slightly below normal season overall. If you take, keep your eye on rural forcing sectors like FMCG and also the two-wheelers and inputs on this news. So TCS will announce its quarter one FY27 results tomorrow, which is 9th July. After market hours, so this is the traditional curtain raiser for the whole IT and broader earnings season. Brokerages like Nomura are expecting some flattish revenge growth in this constant currency terms, and also margins could actually see pressure, and analytics are like penciling is around like 100%, 100 basis points, mainly because of the annual wage hikes kicking in. So on top of that, the ongoing Middle East tension is also expected to have some weight on client spending. So not just for TCS, the stocks, like, but as a sentiment setter for whole IT pack, since L&T Finance, LTI Mindtree, Avenue Supermarts, and also few other also report this week. So the Kusungar IPO opens today, which is 8th July. So it's a 650 crore main board issue. Price band is 398 to 419. Lot size is 35 shares. Kusungar makes engineered synthetic fabrics used in aerospace, defense, and industrial applications. A fairly niche and a specialized business. Just to flag out investor, this is a 100% offer for sale, meaning the company itself won't receive any proceeds. Existing shareholders are like simply selling down their stake. To yeah, FI is actually buying. It's a positive undertone, and monsoon has a mixed near term versus full season picture now. Earning season starting with TCS tomorrow will set the tone for the next few weeks. And yeah, that's fresh IPO action to track the today as well. So I want you guys to comment in the comment section if you have taken any trade or if you are thinking of taking any positions in trade. Just let me know in this comment section what which stock you're thinking, uh, which stock you're thinking. Just let me know if you have any favorite stock. Let me analyze it and we'll discuss it together. So the regional news and the geopolitical news also we have discussed. We'll go back to the commodities, commodity updates, and the prices. We'll discuss it together. We'll be back with the in a 5 minutes with the commodity updates. Just be in the session for 5 minutes. So, yeah, guys, we are here for the commodity updates because actually today's story isn't just about stock market. Gold, silver, crude oil is also have something interesting which is going on there. Hi, guys. So we'll talk about the crude, silver, and also the gold because actually something interesting is cooking in the commodity right now. There, other than the stock market, is actually something going on, and it connects straight back to what's happening overnight with Iran. It's directly impacting the gold. And let's just start simply with the gold today. MCX gold has like dropped below 1.54 lakh mark for 10 grams. Let's fall off about 1,550 rupees, which is close to 1% down. Now, if you take normally, when there is a tension in the world, gold goes up because people run to gold as a safe option. But today it's the quite opposite. If there is a clear reason for it, actually, the US dollar has become very strong today and it crossed the one level. So yeah, I was talking about the gold because actually when this tensions in the world goes up, because people will just run to gold as a safe option. But today's it quietly opposite is going on. There is a clear reason for it. The US dollar has become very strong, and today it crossed the 101 level. When the dollar gold gets strong, gold usually becomes cheaper for the rest of the world, right? So the price comes down. Along with that, there is actually also growing talk that the US Federal Reserve might raise their interest rate in this coming September. The odds have gone up almost like 50% from 46%. So just a day back if you take. So and higher rate actually chances are like pulling up. The strong dollar plus rate fears pulling it down. So for currently the dollar side is winning. Silver, if you take silver, silver is also like moving in the same direction. It has dropped below 2.30 lakh. So, so, guys, actually, we're having some technical glitches. I think viewers are actually informing that they're unable to listen to my voice. We'll start the live again. We'll get back to you guys.